What is up, guys? This is Sam Talks About Games, and today I'm going to be talking about a rumor that's going around that is most definitely true. I shouldn't say that. It's most likely true, because this is Jeff Grubb, and Jeff Grubb tends to get things right a lot. So, Jeff Grubb, on his podcast last night, he talked about there being a Metroid Prime 2 remaster coming relatively soon, as well as something Zelda later this year. So, he specified that the Zelda thing was not Tears of the Kingdom, and he did specify that the Metroid Prime 2 remaster is a remaster. So that's something interesting to think about. And what I'm going to be talking about today is what the Zelda thing could be, and just maybe a little bit on how ambitious the Prime 2 remaster could be. So first off, I'll start with the Zelda. Now, there's a multitude of things the Zelda thing could be. It may not even be a game. However, when they were talking, they were specifying on games, so I will focus on games here. So, it could always be Twilight Princess Wind Waker. I think we know the games are done. They probably took all of 2 months to port over. The games are already done anyway. I mean, they were released on Wii U. So, they're no stranger to Wii U ports. Another thing it could be is whatever Grezzo's working on. Like a 2D Zelda or a 2D Zelda remake. I do believe they're going to make a new 2D Zelda someday, because Mercury Steam, before making Metroid Dread, made a remake for Metroid, and it did very, very well, and they were able to make a new one, similar to how Grezzo made a remake for Link's Awakening, and it did very, very well, and maybe they're allowed to make a new one. I think they will be, because Nintendo does not have an internal team that is ready to do 2D Zelda right now. Grezzo's the perfect choice. So it could be that. It could be Twilight Princess Wind Waker. It could also be something left field, like an Ocarina of Time remake. Although I doubt that's happening until 2025. It could also be Hyrule Warriors, the Imprisoning War, or something like that. There's a ton of things it could be. But what I would place my money on is Twilight Princess Wind Waker HD. I think it's just going to be those. It's going to be a combo pack or something. Both going to be the Wii U versions. It's going to release near the end of the year. It's going to fill in that spot. And I don't think much will be changed about them. Maybe they'll bring back up the servers for the Tingle bottles and the Wind Waker HD. Although that may be hard to do without Miiverse. We'll see. But I think that's the most likely. However, I do think there's a pretty good chance that it is whatever Grezzo's working on. However, I do think that's a 2024 thing, because Grezzo came out with Miitopia in 2022, so it's hard to believe that they're going to have something 2D Zelda ready right away. 2024, however, maybe even near the end, Grezzo can have their next 2D Zelda all done, 2.5 to 3 years of development. That's pretty good. And it's also worth to mention that Miitopia didn't take a ton of resources to develop, so really maybe a better angle to look at it would be end of 2024 would be 5 years since Link's Awakening remake. Let's just tack off a year for Miitopia development. That's 4 years to develop a 2D Zelda game. That's about how long Mercury Steam takes to develop their new 2D Metroid games. So it could be that. And I'm actually going to say that a new 2D Zelda is a little more likely than an Oracle of Ages and Seasons remake. Why I say that is because they didn't sell all that much in the first place, and I don't know. I kind of have a feeling that with like all the negative insight against Pokemon, that Zelda doesn't want to mess around with that with like the dual releases, even though the dual releases are like completely different games. So yeah, I think this year is Twilight Princess Wind Waker. If it comes, I was not expecting another Zelda game this year, but Jeff Grubb is usually right. He's been right about a lot of things. He was right about Metroid Prime Remastered when everyone wrote it off. He insisted that it was coming. And around that same time, he was talking about Wind Waker Twilight Princess. I think it's very, very, very possible that he was right. He was just wrong about the time. It happens all the time. Plans change. You know, it happens. But now I want to pivot to Metroid. So, Metroid Prime Remastered came out in February. Now, kind of what I was thinking, my pipe dream plan was Metroid Prime 2 Remastered in June, Metroid Prime 3 Remastered in September, along with the reveal for Metroid Prime 4 to release in March to end the fiscal year. Now, if we're getting Metroid Prime 2 Remastered in September, I do have an altered plan. So, obviously, 2 Remastered would get shadow dropped in September. That would fill the September span. They've never had a month. They've never had 2 months without games in the Switch generation, so I think it's pretty likely something's coming in September. So, it's probably Metroid Prime 2 Remastered. We should believe Jeff Grubb. So, Metroid Prime 3 Remastered could be in February. And maybe Metroid Prime 4 is closer to holiday. So I was thinking that Metroid Prime 4 was going to be a March game, along with Switch 2. However, at this point, if there's no 3D Mario or no Metroid Prime 4 at launch, I don't think Switch 2 is coming until holiday. I do think it's coming in 2024. There's no doubt about that. It will be in 2024. But at this point, it's just looking more likely that it's coming holiday with 3D Mario. But yeah, I think Metroid Prime 2 and 3 Remastered are going to come out and be amazing. And we see how good Metroid Prime Remastered looks on the Switch. And they finished that back in July 2021, I believe. It was rated by the ESRB. So they finished that game a long time ago. So if we just assume that it takes them a year to develop the subsequent games because they already got the engine down, I mean, July 2023, that takes us to today. I think they may even have Metroid Prime 3 Remastered finished. They're just trickling them out because they don't plan on releasing 4 for a little bit. So that's something to think about right there. We'll also add that, like I said, if Metroid Prime 2 Remastered, if this is a thing, I think this pushes Metroid Prime 4 up a little bit, down to late 2024. But it doesn't make it impossible for it to be a launch title. Let me explain. 3D Mario's the obvious pick, right? For a launch title. You know, Mario sells gangbusters every time it comes out. Sells like hotcakes. I get it. But Metroid Prime 4 has the potential to sell hotcakes as well. Not only is it a first-person shooter in the modern era, well, I say first-person shooter with air quotes because it's a very fake term. First-person shooter, you think multiplayer game. And Metroid Prime 4 is not going to be that. It's going to be a single-player adventure. But Metroid Prime 4 is a first person shooter regardless, and games like Doom and Doom Eternal, which are heavily single player focused, have sold more in the modern era. Metroid Prime Remastered broke records at launch. Like, they had no stock. So I think Metroid's headed in the right direction. And I think Metroid Prime 4 can be the breath of the wild for the series. It can triple the sales of the last best-selling one. There's a chance that Metroid Prime 4 could get 10 million in sales. I know it sounds crazy, but it could happen, especially if it launches with a Switch 2 and pushes hardware. Metroid Prime 4 is the game to push hardware. So, I think there's a pretty solid chance that they could use it for their next gen. That's all. See ya.